Greetings, fellow investigators, and welcome back to our video podcast, Into the Darkness, where my friends and I play the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. I'm your host, Tom Rayleigh. Our scenario is Sunspots. It was written by Dave Sokolowski, and it is available from drivethrurpg.com. Our game master is Tyler Hudak, and this is episode 5. Our recap will be given by David Gasway. So, without further delay, let's continue our journey into the darkness. David?
It's late February 1926, as far as we can tell, although increasingly our sense of time is confused. And too many things have happened in the last few days since our friend Daniel Peterson asked us to help him retrieve his daughter from a religious retreat in western Massachusetts. By the time we arrived in Red Valley, where the retreat had gone, we'd been through her dorm, her friends, a blizzard and a car accident, and we found ourselves in a sunny vacation valley. Increasingly, we have learned that this seeming paradise on earth is some kind of madhouse where some 35 mysterious, shining or reflective fist-sized stones have been distributed to a number of people who have all begun cults of some kind, worshipping one sun god or another. Every god and every pantheon we can think of. Some cults are big and some are small. Some are violent. Daniel's daughter Susan seems to be the priestess of her own cult. We haven't seen her since the night we arrived. She disappeared with her father in a blinding flash of light. Our friend Oscar disappeared with them and reappeared in a separate cult a couple of days later. There are 2 missing archaeologists in town and a tight-lipped wife of one of them. And the inhabitants of the town, which has expanded enormously, are becoming restless and even violent. We removed our things from the lodgings we were staying in and put them in the woods, trying to stay away from the strange, too close to the surface of the Earth sun that shines for too many hours in the day. But coming back out on the street, we were bumped into by a young couple who are fleeing a mob, and that mob seems to be now following us.
Right, and that's where we will pick up. You all had run out of the forest or come out of the forest where you had set up a temporary camp to spend the night. And the young couple, you're on Jefferson Avenue, if I'm correct. The young couple was running down the road, ran smack into you, and began running away. And you see about a dozen men and women coming down the road, just running after the other couple.
Some of these people have been dressed in costumes to indicate who they worship. Do these people look like they're in street clothes, or...?
Some of them look like they're in street clothes. Some of them look like they are in just what you would probably consider costumes from some of the different cults that you've seen around the area. Whether it would be the Egyptian one or the Greek one, they're all very badly put together. Some of them look almost like they grabbed a bunch of sheets and made, makeshift togas, but they're all very dirty. They're all, you could tell that they're all very tanned and just running down, yelling and screaming after this couple.
And are they yelling any words, or are they just rah?
Some of them are like that. Others are get 'em. And they seem to be after these two for really no apparent reason.
Time to go.
Yeah, so we're running away from them, most definitely.
Yeah.
This is near Pilgrim Park?
Yes, so you are a little bit northeast of Pilgrim Park.
Okay.
Is there any alleyways we could run down?
There are a couple of houses north of you that you could run to. You could definitely run back into the woods where you're at. There's no really close alleyways. The houses are all maybe about 10, 15 feet apart from each other.
Well, what?
I'd almost say run to the woods.
Yeah, if that looks like the place we can find cover and people won't see us,
But that'll give away our hiding place.
Only if they find us. I think that if we can hide in the bushes or the trees.
Climb some trees.
What about these young people? They look terrified. I mean, I assume we're running away from the mob while we yell at each other our
I'm
plans.
terrified too.
I'm pretty sure I think the couple's run. They've gone.
Yeah, the couple has continued down the road. They only briefly stopped when they ran into you, and this the whole mob of people is probably about 30 or 40 feet behind them, getting closer to you.
So
well, we should definitely get out of the road.
Let's see if we can bob and weave and get behind something so that they don't know where we've gone and they just keep running after those other people.
Okay. Well, then everybody give me stealth rolls.
Is a 96 a good roll?
It matches mine, which is 04.
I got a hard pass.
Okay.
I passed. Not great, but I passed.
What about Odie and Butch? What did you guys do?
27 out of 30.
My big flipper feet are sticking out.
Butch, I'm sorry. Did you pass or fail?
I failed. 63.
Okay. So all of you just kind of duck into wherever you can, whether that be behind a bush or a tree, whatever's closest to you. Everybody except for Butch and Peter are able to hide. Most of the mob passes, but 2 or 3 stragglers, who aren't keeping up with the mob, kind of come a little bit after. As Peter, you stick your head out to see if everybody's gone and they see you, and Butch, you're just kind of hiding behind a tree that's just not wide enough. They see you, and they just scream out something unintelligible and head right towards you.
Okay, wait. I know that they worship Ra, right? That's the god.
Well, they might worship any particular god.
This is a bunch of different people.
Okay.
Correct.
Well,
Okay.
I think I'm
assuming. So I'm assuming that at least one of them worships one god that I can name. So I'm like, greatness be to Ra, greatness be to Ra, and I start trying to blend into the crowd by pretending to be one of them.
Okay, give me a luck roll.
I'm going to do something similar.
Okay, then both of you give me luck rolls.
But mine's going to be more like, all hail the Lord of Light, the God of the Sun.
I succeed.
Not give a name.
I
got a 4. That's really good.
So yeah, you both start doing that. They're running towards you, and they stop about 5 feet away from you, and they have these confused looks. This close, you can see what they look like. They're all kind of dirty. There's dirt all over their faces. You can see remnants of food just down the front of their white shirts or white cloths, whatever costumes that they've created, and they actually look a little bit gaunt, despite the fact that they're all very tan. They hear you going and saying this, all hail the
Lord of Light.
The Lord of Light, and hail Ra, and they kind of stop, and it kind of, you can see this almost recognition on their faces as they then repeat the chants back to you, and then just take off down the road.
Yeah, I said the non-believers went that way, and I point in the other direction.
And they take off down that way, screaming as they do, and before you know it, they kind of turn the corner, and you lose sight and.
Got to jump into the bushes now.
I can't believe that worked.
That was quick thinking.
What was that? What was that? What were they mumbling? Some sort of strange language. I didn't recognize it.
Yeah,
they were saying lucky bastards.
Given my extreme success, I assume I scrambled up a tree like a squirrel, but I didn't hear what they said either or recognize anything in it.
No, I mean, you from your, well, I mean, from all of your vantages, you could hear them. They were pretty close, and even with them being very close, you could not make out what they were saying. It was almost like they were just screaming out, in excitement and in just not knowing what they're doing, getting caught up in the moment, and just sounding very unintelligible.
Well, I think this settles our debate about whether or not we want to do our investigations by night.
Well,
The stones might be powerful during the day, but the crowds seem totally out of control at night. I think we should get to camp and put 2 people on watch every 2 hours.
Yeah, but we can take on crazy people. I can't take on a stone that blows me up.
I think that if we can't find the Petersons tonight, I think we need to get the fuck out of this town.
Totally agree. I'm with that.
I mean,
that sounds good.
I love them and everything, but
I can brawl with a crazy person, but I'm not taking on someone holding one of those stones again. If they don't work at night, they don't work. Boom.
well, we got to be careful because you're not just going to get one crazy person; you're going to get a whole mob of crazy people.
Yeah, but we've got a butch.
Right, but 6 of us just ran from 12 of them.
Mm-hmm.
We've got cars.
Well,
Yeah, we could run over all of them.
Mason, I'm not sure if you're ready to actually pull the trigger on one of these guys yet.
we need to try.
That's why I read.
Just as human beings, we need to try to find out what's behind this and see if we can stop it. I mean, these are all people. These people,
And
if
we came here to protect Daniel and save his daughter. And
if we can find the source of this power and turn it off somehow, these people might all just go back to normal.
If I look up in the sky now, the sun's like the too big sun, it's gone.
Oh yeah, it's nighttime.
Okay, cool.
Is there
Is
a
this-
moon?
Yeah. Is it bigger than it's meant to be?
No, the moon seems to be at
Moon's
what
fine.
you would expect it to be.
And the stars and everything look normal?
Yep, the stars and everything look normal.
Where is this? And did we see the sun go, or did it set, or did it just sort of disappear?
It kind of did. It was very, very fast. If you remember, you were in the, I believe you were in the cafe when it happened, or shortly thereafter, and the sun just kind of went down very quickly. It was almost like there was an eclipse, but the eclipse never passed.
Do we know where it went down?
No, you don't. Nobody saw it actually set.
And the phase of the moon, which is dependent on the sun for its light, phase of the moon seems normal from a few days ago.
Yeah, it's a crescent moon, so it's giving you some ambient light, not very much, but it is what you remember it being and what you expect it to be.
Now, here's the thing: if the sun actually is the sun and it went down, then the crescent of the moon should be pointing in the direction of the sun, right?
Yeah.
Like an arrow. Like a bow and arrow. But I don't know which way is north, south, east, and west up here anyway. We're kind of guessing, aren't we?
It's not on our map from the Bell and Whistle Cafe.
Well, I'm looking.
And we know which way the road we came in on.
I actually don't know. It doesn't show on our map north, south, east, and west. So, I mean, they're all twisty roads.
Yeah, and it's a cute map, not exactly
Right.
something an engineer made.
We could hole up at the lake for safety, get out on like some boats or something. That way we can't be surrounded.
Well, then we just sit on boats. We're not doing.
And why can't you surround a boat if you've got 3 boats?
And they were playing in the water, so they're just going to come swim out. And
They like the beach a lot. It's sunny down there. I
shit
think we
ducks.
should be in the woods. Unless we have some idea where to find Denvy or Simpson or Susan or Daniel, and I don't have any idea.
Didn't somebody say something about caves or mines? Was there?
Yeah,
Or
this
mines.
place used to be a copper mine.
Yeah, there were copper mines. You've seen from you guys had looked through when you were at the library. You had looked through some like local history books, and we'll say that you found a map in one of the books that kind of outlined about where the mines were. And if you look at the top of your map, you should see where the roads kind of go. If you would go farther in that direction, that's when you would start to hit closer to where the mines are.
Well, I have a funny theory. The sunlight seems to be energizing everybody and sustaining them during the day. And as soon as the sun's gone, they become hungry and restless. But from what we saw yesterday, around 9 o'clock, everybody's asleep. They've lost all of their energy. So my guess is that once I mean, it might happen earlier than that. That's when we woke up. But these people might all run all of this out of their system and then pass out and fall asleep wherever they are. In which case, then it's fairly safe to look around during the night. Once they've all run out of juice.
Yeah, although as the sun seems to be getting closer, and this phenomenon, which has been happening as far as we can tell for months, is getting more extreme, they're also getting, pretty ragged looking. But it's worth a try, and I'm curious to see if there's anything in a mine shaft, because these are rocks. This is a geological phenomenon.
Right. Maybe he found something in the rock, in the mine. I hope there's not a whole bunch of mines that we have to explore, but I'm afraid to go say anything to Rebecca because I think she might be at least partly behind this. She seems to be translating scrolls, and of course we've seen a scroll that's got some very strange stuff in it. I'm wondering if I don't know what, I don't believe in magic really, but in my family there's been some pretty weird stories.
It's true. And if she's not part of it, she knows something about it. So either way.
Well, she's either completely innocent and just doing her job, or she's helping the problem or trying to stop the problem. One or the other.
Well, let's look at it this way. What innocent person just doing a regular day-to-day job would stay around all this lunacy?
Well, maybe the lunacy didn't start until tonight.
Well, that's why she's been staying indoors in the day and only working at night. She's seen stuff we haven't. She's been here for a month.
Why don't you talk to her about the scroll we have? And that will either get her talking to you or force her hand so that we know what side she's on.
You could say you've seen the scroll. Don't let her know we have it, though. Just say we're poking around and noticed it. When you went back for it, it wasn't there until we could find out which side she's really on.
Well, we got it out of Arnold Simpson's place.
Correct.
You guys broke in and stole it.
The key, I didn't break in anything.
The thing is that if she knows that Arnold has it, they're working together, we'll be tipping our hand that we have the scroll they need.
Like I said before, though, she's never seen me. So if I pretend to go be an associate of Arnold, she may talk to me. She doesn't know what I look like.
Yeah, but she's awful close with Arnold.
I'm wondering if we shouldn't break into her room.
If you want me to do that, I can do that.
If you can do it stealthily, so that she doesn't know that you've been in there, maybe we can watch the place and wait for her to go take a smoke break or something.
Even if you can talk to her at the door and distract her, I can sneak in behind her through the window. I'm assuming there's a window in her room.
Yeah, but remember, she's second floor.
Yeah.
And it's probably a room that's 15 feet across. I don't see how you can see.
Finally, I get to do my job.
But she does come down at night and go outside. I could get her talking
if you keep a watch on her and you try to give us a signal, like say "Coo" if he comes towards the room.
Let's do like a 3-point triangle. I'll see if I can distract her and talk to her outside for a while. One of you hide nearby and keep an eye on me and her, so that you can get a signal to Oscar if she turns around.
Hey, Mason, I'm pretty sure you being a private eye, you're pretty good at watching people without them knowing you're watching them.
Yeah, I've got some experience with that.
Okay, so he'll give me the signal when it's good to go.
And Robert, you keep an eye on Butch and keep him away from any rocks that might suddenly happen to show up.
Yeah, Robert, keep me away from the rocks, boy.
Butch, are you feeling better than you did yesterday?
He's got a big lump on the back of his head.
Yesterday, I was fine. I mean, Oscar hit me in the head, and that hurt some bit.
Well, as long as you're convinced that your behavior was perfectly normal, then we know that you're still crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, you're the crazy one. I've been fine all along. All I wanted to do was apologize to Rebecca.
No, you didn't.
She misunderstood my intentions. I just
So did
wanted.
Okay, if you were fine, and why did you go try to go grab the stone in the church?
Because I wanted to get rid of the stone. I wanted to do experiments. I wanted to make sure that the people were.
You're a driver. You ain't you ain't a scientist.
And you don't know that.
It's
Well,
okay,
we have
Butch.
this argument in the street.
Yeah.
The street is pretty quiet.
Let's
right.
sneak back over to the hotel.
Okay. So you head back over to the hotel. Are you going through the woods to get there, or are you going along the streets?
Now we're going to try to sneak as best we can and avoid any crowds.
Okay.
Most likely the woods.
Yeah, let's stay to the tree line.
Okay, you do that. It's pretty easy to stick to the tree line and make your way for the most part there. Along the way back, you see a couple of groups kind of wandering around, but you see even more people just kind of passed out on lawns or in makeshift tents, and you see even more cars than you remember seeing even during the day. In fact, by the time you get back to the hotel, your cars where you had parked them are just completely surrounded by other cars.
Of course they are.
There's no way you're going to be able to get them out without moving at least 4 or 5 cars. But you get back to the Golden Nest Hotel, and
I'm sorry, can I ask one question about the people we've seen? Anybody in white outfits like the ones we saw Susan's group wearing?
Not exactly like them. I mean, like I said before, you do see some people who are wearing kind of like makeshift white costumes, whether they look like togas or something along those lines. It's very hard to tell if it's the same people that you saw previously.
Fair enough.
But you get to the hotel. All of the lights are on, just kind of like you remembered the night before. You can see 1 or 2 people in the 1 or 2 people just kind of sitting in the living room. I'm assuming you guys are on the outside still. So what are you going to do?
Well, I'm going to casually walk around towards the back in the hopes that Rebecca has stepped outside to smoke.
Give me a luck roll.
Okay. What is my luck? I got a 68 and my luck is 74. So barely making it.
Okay. You get there. You don't see her on the back porch, but you can see where her room is, and you can see the light is on. The shades are pulled, but you can see that the light is on. But you don't see any movement inside, any shadows or anything like that. And you do know from looking in before that the desk that she was sitting at is right in front of the window.
So I might see her head or something.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I look around at the other guys, like maybe I should Maybe I should tell her that I found this scroll. What do you think? Is that risky?
I don't think you should have it on you if you're going to do so.
Well, I'm trying to get her to come out of her room.
Is there a
Right, but
is there
what
like
if
a
she's
gap
got a
in the
38?
curtain?
I'm sorry, two people talked at once.
Sorry, is there a gap in the curtain?
A very tiny gap.
What
And
if
how
she's
high up
armed
is
and she just wants the scroll?
What's
Uh,
We know she's armed. She pulled a gun on Butch.
Right.
She might just want the scroll.
So if you tell her you know where it is but don't have it,
Well, she's immediately going to know that we broke into Arnold's place. If I just tell her that I have this old scroll that I found, I don't know. It seems kind of tenuous.
Everybody give me a listen roll.
Just mention Astaroth to her.
I already did.
Yeah, and you caught her attention with that.
I got a hard pass.
I think.
On listen.
Oh.
What was I rolling?
Listen.
Listen.
Listen, I got a 42. What is
I
my
got a
listen?
99.
Yeah, I passed.
I failed.
92.
You
My
just
ear
happen to
fell
have your
off.
fingers in your ears doing this.
My ear fell off.
So for those who made their listen roll from the outside, all of a sudden you can hear a raised voice, her raised voice coming from her room. And all you hear her say is, "You take care of this now. I refuse to have you mess up all my work because you're too damn lazy to do your own. Now go find Simpson." And then you hear a door slam. About 30 seconds later, you see a man walk down the stairs. From your back vantage, you can see where the stairs go down. You see a man walk down and head towards the front door and walk out the front door.
Is that Jason Taft?
You haven't seen Jason before, but it's not a leap to think that
Right.
that might be who it is.
We need to follow
I
him.
look at Robbie and Butch and I say, "Go get him."
Don't get him. Follow him. Find
Who
out
here
where
is capable of subtlety?
Well, Butch has
I don't want
claws.
anybody
Yeah, Butch
walking
is
over a
so
string of tin cans 10
I'm
feet
the
from
most
this guy.
subtle person in the universe. About as subtle as we get.
I'm not very subtle.
What do you want us
Petey, can you distract her at the door?
What do you want us to do with him?
Just follow him.
I want to know where Simpson is.
If he's going to find Simpson, yeah.
All right, go follow him.
Okay, I'll follow.
I'm going too.
Okay.
So-
Butch, don't screw this up.
The ones who are not following him, what are you doing?
Well, we're trying to work out how we're going to get her out of that room.
Well, if someone goes and talks to her at the door, I can try and get in the window.
Wait, is Robert also coming with
Right.
me?
Well, if I can get her out and into the attic, then you'll have clear access to the door. I'm just gonna. This might be blowing our cover or something, but I'm gonna try something.
Okay.
I'm gonna try and.
All right. So what we'll do is those who are trying to follow Jason, you kind of circle around to the front. You can kind of, by the time you get up there, you have to kind of hop over a fence and scoot around the building. He is about half a block or so away from you. Give me stealth rolls.
I failed.
I made it exactly.
I failed.
How badly did you guys fail?
I have a 40 and I rolled an 80.
I
badly.
rolled an 89 and I have a 4.
Okay. You start moving down the road. He gets he's heading down boardwalk towards the lake, and he gets about to where Washington Avenue meets which is the first road before the road in front of the lake. And he turns, and as he turns, he catches a glimpse of Mason and Butch, and you can see that he sees you. But then he looks away, almost as if he just saw that you were there and walking down the road. He didn't seem to be alarmed by you. But as he does that, he turns the road and it kind of disappears in front of the building.
Don't let him catch you again.
Yeah, I think so as to not make him, since apparently he's not suspicious yet, I'd like to try to loop around the block ahead of him, away from you, Butch, so that we're not seeing both of us right on his tail. So I'm gonna go to the left and try to loop around in front of him.
Okay, how about Robert and I will follow from the back. You try to keep heading from the front.
It's worth a try.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we'll try to stay further back.
Okay.
You can be closer.
Robert, you're trailing him too?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Sorry, I misheard. Okay. Yeah. So you can. So Butch and Robert, you guys are going to continue on, and Mason, you're going to kind of loop around, correct? Okay. Mason, you turn the corner and you can see that he's still walking. He seems to be heading towards kind of like the town center. Butch and Robert, you kind of go along in order to kind of go the back way. You're basically cutting between a number of houses, and as you go, you're kind of hopping over people who have just kind of sprawled on the ground and are fast asleep. Same condition that you've seen already, where they've got all these dirty shirts, food remnants all over them, and are just completely passed out. Everybody, give me stealth rolls again.
Made it. I'm not worried about these people. They're not likely to wake up.
I got an 09, so I'm much better off.
Yeah, I succeed too.
Okay, so you, Butch and Robert, you're able to kind of move a little bit fast, and before you know it, you're kind of going alongside of him about a house length away. You're kind of skirting behind houses, but you're kind of following him that way. Mason, you start going down the road, and he seems to be pretty oblivious to all of you. You're about 20 feet behind him at this point.
And he doesn't seem concerned about being followed. Does he seem to be moving urgently? And does he seem like he knows exactly where he's going?
He doesn't seem to be moving urgently. In fact, you kind of get the feeling that he's just kind of taking his time. As for where he's going, he gets towards to where Main Street intersects with Washington Avenue that you're on, and he starts to make a left, heading towards the lake.
All right, I'm staying on him.
Okay. Robert and Butch, you're going to as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He starts going towards the lake, and he gets to the boardwalk on the lake, or the road along the lake, makes a left, and then immediately kind of turns around, and before you know it, and you're all kind of trailing him from behind, so you can see this. You had good enough rolls that I'm not going to make you roll again. He gets to the ray of light, or I'm sorry, no, he gets to the old bakery, which is now the Saul gift shop, goes around back and goes into the back door.
Does he use the same key we did?
It's pretty dark, but you did see him kind of reach around and grab the key.
Should we just go in and confront him?
I mean, I don't see the point in this. We've already been there and we know where he is. So maybe we could go in after him and see if he's left anything.
Yeah, I'm wondering whether he's going to come out with Simpson and whether it's worth just waiting rather than alerting them that we're here. Because she said to get Simpson, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Go find Simpson.
Go find Simpson. So maybe he thinks Simpson's here, and we know he wasn't there, and he's just going to leave and try someplace else, in which case if we alarm him now, we're going to lose the opportunity. We already searched the place.
Yeah.
All right, well,
So,
you guys are standing in the back. Let's jump back to the others. So, Peter, what are you going to do?
All right. So Oscar's going to sneak in once I get her out. Odie is going to be the lookout to warn Oscar if she's coming back.
Okay.
So I go up to her room and I knock on her door.
And as soon as you knock, you hear her on the other side. And you kind of swear under her breath and say, "What do you want now?"
Rebecca, it's Peter Gilman.
And you hear her go, "Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on a second." And you can tell that she's definitely angry. It takes a second or two for her to get up. You can hear the chair sliding, and she kind of opens the door just a little bit, kind of hiding half behind the door.
Okay. Can I tell if there's anybody else in the room, or is it just, can I tell that there's nobody there?
Give me a spot hidden roll.
All right. 45, my spot hidden is 60. Yes, I passed.
Yeah, you're fairly positive that she's alone in the room.
Rebecca, there are droves of people wandering about town out there, almost in a riot. They've all gone crazy. It was all we could do to sneak back and get over here. One of these crazy assholes dropped what looked like some sort of a scroll. I grabbed it. I've got it upstairs. I thought maybe you'd like to see it because it's in some foreign language, some Semitic and Greek. And
give me a. She looks at you, and she definitely becomes interested when you mentioned the scroll, but she's kind of eyeing you a little warily. And so go ahead and give me a persuade roll.
Okay. 01.
Oh,
Yes.
she.
I love it when that happens.
You can tell she's thinking in her mind what she's going to do, and at one point she seems to be wavering a little bit towards not doing anything, and then she finally says, "All right, where is this scroll?"
I've got it up in the attic. We're up in the attic.
She says, "I don't know if I'm going to go up to the attic. I tell you what, bring it down into the living room, and we'll look at it there."
All right. Are you sure? That's all right.
Yes, and she comes out, turns around, and locks her door.
Okay.
And then goes downstairs.
And so now I've gone upstairs. She's walked downstairs, and I grab the scroll and I start downstairs. So I probably see Oscar.
Yeah.
And so I head down with her.
Okay. So Oscar, what are you doing?
So as soon as I kind of get the signal from Peter, I pull out I've got my full kit with me. I've got my big satchel, which I put all my booty in and stuff when I get it. So I kneel down and get, obviously check the lock and check what kind it is and pull out the tools and bits that I need and get to work.
All right, go ahead. Odie, while he's doing that, what are you doing?
Now they're down in the common room or whatever,
Right.
correct?
Yes.
And there's a set of stairs that go back up to the room, right?
Yes.
So I'm going to sit on, if I sit on the top of the stairs, I could still see the common room? Like the first flight.
Yeah, I mean, you can see some of it. You can't see the entire thing.
Well, I'm going to go like 3/4 of the way up, sit down, and take out a deck of cards and light a cigarette. Like I'm sitting on the stairs, having a cigarette, at an earshot supposedly of them talking, but that way if she gets up to walk back up the stairs, I'm just going to walk up the stairs like I'm going back to the attic where I'm staying.
Okay.
I got a 16, so I passed.
Okay. So you're able to get the door open without an issue. It pops open. What?
Cool. So I go in. I'm assuming Peter's given me a bit of a rundown on kind of what important scrolls and all that sort of stuff are going to look like. Plus, I feel like I do have some appraise, so I'd probably know what look genuinely old and stuff like that.
We'll see if we can figure out what she's up to.
So
yeah, pretty much. I'm going to grab pretty much I'm going to rob her.
Well, you walk in and there are just papers everywhere. You see 4 other scrolls which look very similar to the one that Peter had, and they have the same type of markings on them and translations on them. And I mean, there's just papers and the scrolls just scattered all over the room, all over the desk.
Okay, I'm just opening my bag and just throwing them all in my bag.
Okay.
Yeah.
Peter, while you're down there, you come down. She is there, and
Okay.
what are you doing?
So I come
By the
down.
way, when I went in, I closed the door and locked it behind me.
Okay.
I'm just going to immediately start rattling off stuff. We were like, I'm going to tell my whole life story before I actually open up the scroll. We arrived here. We were out in the town. People started rioting. We had to hide in the woods. We were near whatever street that shop is on. There were people running around with forks and I mean, not forks, rakes and pitchforks and somebody dropped this, and I thought, that's strange. I mean, it looks like here it is. It's like a parchment, and I snatched it up. I don't know who dropped it, to somebody in the crowd. Anyways, it looked like they'd broken window. I was just going to go on and on and on, give them as much time as possible. Finally, I sort of unroll it, and I say, now.
And this whole time, she is just, kind of absent-mindedly nodding, and her eyes are just fixed on the scroll. You had it in the case that you were carrying it in, or did you just have the scroll itself?
At this point, I don't have it in the case. The case is still upstairs.
Okay.
Okay. And I'll say, did she ask me about a case?
No.
Okay.
No,
So
I just wanted to know how
right.
you were presenting
Right.
it.
So I just had it rolled up. So I unroll it.
Pardon the interruption. Just a point of order. Didn't we move everything into the woods, out of the attic? I thought you had the scroll on you for
I
safekeeping.
did have the scroll on me.
Yeah.
So we'll say I just pretended to go up to the attic and get it, but
Right, that's what I figured you
Okay.
did.
All right. So okay, I've unrolled it, and I say, now some of this I think is probably Semitic, and this is definitely some old ancient Greek. And I sort of lean over it like this, and I'm saying, now, is this word conjugated this way, or I mean, do you recognize this kind of language?
And she starts looking over it. Give me a psychology roll.
All right. Got a 65, which no, I don't.
Yeah, she's looking over it, and she's kind of like, moving her hands over it, kind of reading things, and just kind of looking everything over. And she doesn't really answer your question. She seems very much more involved and concentrating on the scroll in front of her. And finally, she sits back and just looks at you and says, "Tell me again where you got this."
It was over near. I forget the name of the shop. Something that had where they were selling the rocks.
Okay, and you just found it on the street.
It was a crowd sort of was passing by, and it just dropped from somebody's arm and landed on the street.
Give me another persuade roll.
Okay. Persuade. No.
She says, See, here's one issue with what you're telling me. And Odie, you can kind of half hear this as well. She says, she points to some of the handwriting in the side columns there, and she says, this handwriting is my own.
This is your handwriting.
Yes. And this other handwriting is a former associate of mine. She points to the other handwriting on there. And she says, what's interesting is I have the same, or I supposedly have the same scroll up in my room. But what I'm seeing here, doesn't quite make sense. So one of two things is going on. Either you got it and stole it from somebody, or you're working with my former coworker. But either way, I think you're lying to me.
Are you referring to Arnold Simpson?
Yes, and it's interesting that you would know who he is.
Well, I mentioned him earlier to you. I told you he was in town. He's apparently the one who's selling these rocks to people.
Okay. And she kind of sits back.
And it was near that shop.
Okay.
But you said that you have this scroll upstairs?
I have a copy of this scroll. Robert, at this point, you've kind of gathered everything into your bag. What are you doing?
Is there anything else in the room that's like that looks out of the ordinary? Because I want it to look like a real robbery, not just all the papers. So if she's got any jewelry or anything like that lying around, wallet, like I don't want her to instantly think it was this group, because again, she hasn't seen me before. Or like if there's anything like just was, yeah. And I'm going to throw the sheets around a bit and look like I've actually searched the room properly.
So you do see like her wallet on a small dresser, a couple of small things of jewelry, nothing too extravagant or expensive. And in the closet on a like little stand is her luggage, and she would have some things in there as well.
Okay. Is her gun there?
Give me a spot hidden.
Okay. I got a 25. That's a pass. It's a hard pass.
You do not find it.
Okay. So at that point, I think I've pretty much got everything. I've checked like under the bed. I've done a good search. So I've locked the door. I'm going to open the window and climb out.
Okay.
And then I'm going to close the window behind me.
Okay.
And then bust the lock.
Okay. All right, so you do that. There's at least a little ledge before it hits the walkway on the second floor. So you're able to do that. You bust the lock. So as this is going on, Rebecca is looking at Peter, and she at this point she's listening to you. You can't tell whether or not she believes you,
right.
But at this point she sits back and she looks directly at you. And so to kind of describe the way that the room is, it's a corner room in the house where there are two couches that are kind of in the middle of the room in almost like a corner shape.
Right.
You're sitting in one, she's sitting in the other, and there's a table in the middle, which is where the scroll is, and then there's like an easy chair on the opposite side of you. Behind you and behind her are two windows, and so on the opposite sides of the room are two doorways. One leads into the hallway across from where the stairs going up are, where Odie is sitting, right. And the other leads into another room, almost like a dining room, which then leads towards the front of the house. But you're sitting in one. The side of the room you're sitting in is opposite the door to where that leads up to the stairs where Odie is.
Right.
And she's sitting on the other across from you, where the so she's facing where the dining room is.
Okay.
And at that point, she kind of sits back in her chair and looks at you and says, "I still don't know if if I can believe what you're saying. And she looks up into the doorway and says, what do you think? Both Odie and Peter, give me spot hiddens.
15. Yes, I passed that. That's hard.
Okay. Odie, did you make it? You're on mute.
I just found it. 61 out of 50.
Okay, Odie, from your vantage, you can't see
55.
anything. But Peter, you look up to see where she's looking, and two men walk in the doorway. One is a little bit shorter, not very muscular build, but he's, fairly well built. You immediately recognize him as Denby Partridge.
Envy.
The other person behind him is a very large, muscular man standing with his arms crossed. And as soon as she says that, Denby says, I agree with you, my dear. I'm not sure I believe him as well. So let's cut back to the other group.
Okay.
Robert, Mason, and Butch, you are so tell me where you're at. Jason went into the back of the
We're outside the old bakery.
So are you just kind of standing back there, or are you?
Yeah, I'm encouraging that we wait in the shadows and see what we can tell from the lights going on in the building, and whether or not there's any indication that Jason finds Simpson there, because I don't think he's there.
I assume that all three of us are together and not in separate hiding places.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
So you
And
do
we'll give him
that.
15 minutes before we freak out.
Okay.
And we can probably tell a lot about his movement from the lights inside.
Yeah, you can. You can see him flick on the lights. He goes up. You can tell he went up to the upstairs to where the bedroom was. He was up there for about 3 or 4 minutes. The light goes off. You can see the lights in like the back kitchen area and the front storeaway area flick on. And then after a couple minutes, they flick off and he comes out. But as soon as he comes out, you see, actually give me spot hidden rolls. Let's see what you see.
I succeed.
Oh, yeah.
4.
Yeah.
All right, so all of you, you've been standing outside long enough that your eyes have adjusted to the dark. As soon as Jason walks out of the back door, you see a very large dark shadow moving up between the buildings towards the back as well.
Very large, like bigger than a normal person?
Very big person.
And shaped like a person.
Yes.
Sit back and watch what happens.
Yeah.
So you just kind of sit back or watch what happens. Jason kind of stands there for a second. It's hard to make out details in his features, but you can see that he's looks very agitated from when he came out. He's looking around. He's just kind of looking up and down the lawns, looking up and down the houses. When that shadow finally makes it to the back, turns the corner, and for a second you see Jason kind of jump. He wasn't expecting that. He was startled, and then he gets a look of recognition on his face. Everybody give me listen rolls.
49, 450. Skin of my teeth.
I think.
You failed. Robert, what did you do?
I passed, but not by much.
Okay. So Mason and Robert, you can hear Jason kind of let out this like little yelp from a scare, and then you hear him kind of hear half of a conversation where Jason says something to this gentleman, and he calls him by the name of Marcus, and says something. You can hear the words Arnold Simpson, and then you can hear this other gentleman who has a very deep voice say something along the lines of, "Don't worry about it, it's been taken care of." And as he says that, both men start to walk to the front of around the building to the front.
Wow. Quick thoughts, guys? I think, my temptation right now is I've got a flashlight on me, and maybe it's time to say hello and see who our big thug friend is. but that's gonna, it's gonna tip our hand. Any thoughts?
I think all of us need to have something to attack them with, just in case things go south. So we should be prepared for an offensive.
So you want to follow them and pick up a stick and say hello in the street?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm ready now. What my fist can't do, I've got a Luger that can do it.
Well, I think we're better off than confronting them back here, where we're less likely to see people wandering up and down the street.
Yeah.
Hi, folks. Are you in town for the solar festival?
So you're back. You're probably back about 15, 20 feet from where they are, and their backs are to you. Are you gonna just kind of just yell out and run up, or how are you gonna handle this?
I'm not gonna run up. I'm gonna point a flashlight at them and greet them cheerily, and hope for some startle and response.
I think we're gonna wait back, hide for a bit, and once they get close enough, maybe try and ambush them.
Okay, so
I think I've ruined that for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think he knows that we're there with him. Like Mason's
Well,
standing
that's
alone.
true. If I put a flashlight on them, they're not going to see anybody else standing in the dark behind the building.
Yeah, so we're gonna still stay hidden until they get close enough for an attack.
All right. Well, Mark or Mason, you shine the flashlight on their face. They're about 20 feet away, but even them, with that bright light, is kind of blinding them. They hold up their arms, and the larger gentleman yells out, "Put that thing down! We can't see."
And he's got a deep voice, and we've never seen him before. Does he sound angry, scared?
He sounds more ticked off than anything else.
Well, he's still going to have sparkles in his eyes if I flip it off. So I'll just do that. Say, "Hey, sorry, man. Sorry, my good friend. Sorry, old fellow."
You say that, and he just kind of waves you off, almost, kind of absent-mindedly, kind of pushes you, not pushes you away, but just says, "Whatever, mind your own business," and turns around. And,
have you guys seen Denby or Simpson?
At that point, they both stop, and they turn around, and the larger gentleman says, "What did you say?"
I said I was looking for a couple of gentlemen, Denby and Simpson. They used to keep the shop here.
Oh, well, why don't you come here, friend, and we can talk about this.
And when he says friend, does that sound friendly?
Give me a psychology roll.
Got a 70 and rolled 14.
It sounds kind of very faux friendly.
Yeah.
Menacing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I step out from the shadows with him.
You know what? Let me. Okay, Butch, where are you?
I'm just behind Robert.
Sorry, say that again.
I'm just behind Robert.
But
Okay.
staying in the dark, I assume?
Yeah.
Still
Okay.
ambush ready?
All three of you give me spot hidden rolls.
Oh yeah, hard.
So
I succeed.
Okay. So for the two of you that succeeded, you see Jason kind of step behind the larger gentleman, who you heard his name was Marcus. He steps behind them, and you can see Marcus kind of reach into a coat pocket as if he was going to grab something.
I do as well.
Doesn't seem to be affected by it. He reaches in, grabs something, and puts his arm behind his back.
So anyway, fellas, you haven't seen Denby or Simpson lately? Because I'd really like to talk to these guys about some real estate issues I've got. This valley's booming.
Oh, Marcus goes, "Well, yeah, actually, we have. If you'd like, I can show you where they're at."
Are they? Wait, they're both together? I thought those two had some sort of real, pissing match.
Oh, they've patched things up.
Are they staying in town still?
Yes.
Well, okay. What do you say? I'm Bush. Let's have breakfast at the Bell and Whistle in the morning, and then you can come and we can have a proper introduction, because I don't want to wake him up.
Oh, and he goes, I'm sorry, your name is?
My name is Gilman, Peter Gilman.
Peter Gilman, huh? All right, well, we will see you then, Peter. And he kind of starts slowly stepping backwards away until, unless you guys do something, until he gets to the front where the street is, and then just kind of turns the corner and goes. And you can definitely see as he turns, there's a glint of light on. He was definitely holding a gun, a handgun.
Okay, boys, I think they've seen me, and I've used the only name I could think of. But I think you should tail him if you can, especially since you're also armed. Maybe I'll go back to the inn and tell the actual Peter Gilman that there's other actors. And use an alternate
That
name.
was smart. Well played. I've done the same thing in your position. That was smooth.
All right, well...
okay, let's go forward. What do you think, Robert?
Okay, let's go.
Probably taking him to see the goings of the...
Okay, well, as you guys start to do that, let's jump back to the other group. Peter, you're sitting in the on the couch.
Yeah. I immediately jump up and I'm like, "Oh, Dr. Partridge, I'm so happy to meet you."
And Odie, you can hear all of this. And Denby Partridge just kind of takes a step forward. He's smiling. He kind of shakes your hand, shakes it a little bit, too tight, and then sits down in the chair directly across from you.
I saw a lecture you gave 2 years ago on something.
Oh, excellent. I hope you enjoyed it and learned a lot from it.
I in fact, I did. I was just telling Rebecca here that if you've been out, you've seen there's crowds of people.
Well, I just recently arrived this afternoon, but yes, I have seen them.
I met your wife yesterday, and I recognized
Ex-wife.
who she was. Ex-wife. I keep saying that. I'm very sorry. And I know what all of your expertises are. I'm sorry. Who's your companion here?
He's my companion, and he just leaves it at that. The other gentleman who's very large is just kind of standing there with his arms crossed in the doorway. Odie, you can hear all of this conversation. Every once in a while, you catch a glimpse. You saw Denby kind of walk through that door, across your line of view. Every once in a while, you can see just kind of the very front outline of the gentleman standing in the doorway before he disappears back beyond your view. Oscar, by this time, you were climbing down, correct? Down the house. You climb down. You've kind of maneuvered yourself at this point to where you're looking through. You're kind of looking through one of the windows into where Peter is, and you can see all of this happening as well. Although you can't quite make out what they're saying.
Okay, but I can see the four of them.
Yes.
Okay.
So I launch into pretty much telling Denby everything, why we came here, the strange goings on in this town, and how they seem to be escalating, and my fictional find of the scroll.
He says, so tell me, and he stops you at that point and says, let's not talk about the scroll. And he has almost a hint of venom on his voice when he says that. He says, let's not talk about the scroll right at this second. Tell me what you think about what's going on here in town.
Well, your ex-partner, apparently, Arnold Simpson, has been selling some sort of magic stones to the locals. They seem to pull people into some sort of dream world where they imagine they're talking to God, of all things. And quite honestly, other than that, I haven't got the foggiest idea what the hell's going on here.
So do you believe that they're talking to a god?
No, to be quite frank, I root all of my beliefs in science. I think that they're probably being exposed to some sort of mind-altering radiation.
He kind of chuckles a little bit and says, "Interesting. Well, I can tell you, from my point of view, is that well you're an archaeologist by trade. Is that correct?"
Well, a little bit stronger in anthropology, but I do
Okay.
some archaeology, yes.
And so you've studied cultures around the world, and I assume you've traveled.
Yes.
So you've seen, like me, who has done the same and has hunted around the world for various treasures and knowledge. You've seen things that you probably can't explain.
That is very true.
Well, let me tell you, Mr. Gilman, that I have spent, my life looking for answers, looking for this knowledge. And when I came across the scrolls, that one of which you see in front of you, I had to find the rest of the knowledge. And that's when my then partner, Mr. Simpson, and I started on our quest to find this knowledge. Unfortunately, Mr. Simpson decided that he would rather go do things on his own. And he was wrong for this. One could say he was dead wrong for this. However, he did find some interesting discoveries, which is what brought me to this town. You see, all of the knowledge that I've accumulated tell me that these people, as you say, are not wrong. They are communicating with a god, not the god that they think that they are, from what I've seen here, but definitely a god, and that god is coming, and I will be the one who helps bring that god to these people. And he give me a psychology roll.
Okay.
You can give me one too, Odie, because you can hear all of this as well.
I don't pass. I don't really have good psychology.
14 out of 40.
All right, Odie, you can tell he is just dead serious about this. And with that, he stops and he looks at Peter and he says, based on what I've told you, what do you think of that?
Have you yourself held in your hands one of these stones? Do you possess one?
I have. In fact, I worked on. Sorry. Let me start over. He says, I have. In fact, I received a couple today and have one or two others in my possession. More importantly, my goal this afternoon was to determine how these stones were coming into being. And unfortunately, it appears that knowledge was lost to me through some circumstances we don't need to go into. With that, he reaches into his coat and pulls out a leather bag, a cloth bag, which he tosses on the table in front of you. The cloth is like a cloth sack. As far as you can tell, it looks very plain, except for the fact that it is basically ripped up. It looks like somebody has taken scissors or a knife to it to try to get inside of it, despite the fact that it's not tied shut. And Denby says, unfortunately, due to the incident which we won't discuss, the way to make the stones is probably lost forever. But the good news is we have some still. Wouldn't you agree?
They're created?
They were.
We have reason to believe there may be as many as 35 of these stones in town.
Interesting. I was not aware that there were that many. Do you possess any?
No. I'm afraid of them. I think that they're, like I say, some sort of radiation. I would suggest that you get rid of yours if you have one, because I think that it is radiation. It makes you believe something that might not be true. You say
No.
God.
No, it does not make you believe something that might be true. It shows you what the truth is.
Does it have anything to do with this? And I point down at the scroll at the word Azathoth.
And he looks at that and smiles, and he says, it has everything to do with that. With that, let's jump back to the other group. Mason, Butch, and Robert. Remind me again what you're doing. Robert and Butch, you're going to try to be trailing these guys. Mason, what are you doing?
I was going to go back to the inn and check in on with Peter and company, and also tell them that we have that the assistant doesn't know where Simpson is, but is in contact with this other dangerous character.
Okay. So you start heading back, kind of, I'm assuming going back behind the houses, like the way you came.
Stealthy.
Okay. All right. So you do that. Yeah. Robert and Butch, both of you give me stealth rolls.
Ooh, made it.
I think.
All right. Robert and Butch, you kind of come around the front of the houses, and as you do, you can see, you don't see Marcus, but you see Jason turn the corner right then, about a half a block ahead of you, going up one of the roads. What are you going to do?
Follow him.
Okay. You start heading down. You get about halfway down the block. Both of you give me spot hidden rolls.
Oh, not a chance.
83, I think.
You failed it?
Yeah, I think.
Okay. You get just past one of the buildings when, out of nowhere, Butch, you just get smashed in the face by a fist from out of the darkness.
Probably Oscar.
Take 2 points of damage.
Yes.
It just takes you from by complete surprise, and out from the darkness, Marcus steps out, laughs at both of you, and says, "I knew you would be following us."
Swing.
All right. What is your dexterity?
My dexterity is 45.
Okay. Butch, what's yours?
70.
70. All right, Butch, you get to go first. What are you doing?
I try to kick him right in the knee.
Okay. Go. All right, go ahead and roll.
For dexterity, right?
No, this would be your fighting brawl.
Okay, yes. Yeah, hard success. Extreme success, actually. It's 11.
Okay, so that would extreme success would do max damage. So or probably, do you have any damage bonus?
Yeah, I have a damage of plus 1d4.
Okay, so what's kick? Kick is a D3, right?
Yeah, 3 plus damage bonus.
All right, so you basically just hit him, right in the in his and you can just hear it crack as he starts to tumble down on one knee, and as he does that, he lets out this scream of agony and just tries to punch you again. You can fight back, you can dodge. What are you going to do?
I try to restrain him with the intent of subduing him to make sure he doesn't move. Yes, okay. So I just try to restrain him while Robert maybe keeps keeping control.
All right, so that sounds like it's you're gonna be doing a move then. So roll fighting brawl again.
I succeeded yet.
What type of success?
Hard success.
All right, so you got a better success. So he lunges at you, trying to hit you, but just your kick has just taken it out of him. and you grab his arm and are able to kind of hold on to him. Robert, what are you doing?
Hit him.
All right, go ahead. I'll even give you a bonus die.
I don't need it. I knocked that fucker the next week. I got a critical success on hitting him.
So yeah, you hit him right. You knock him out. So explain to me, what happens.
Oh, and knock him out?
Unless you're, trying to kill him. Let's put it this way: he's going down. So what happens?
Take his wallet for one thing.
All right, so you hit him, right across the chin, knocks him out cold. You're easily able to grab his wallet.
Yeah, find out his name.
Name is Marcus Smith. You see that he's a resident of Hell's Kitchen in New York, and he has about $15 in cash.
You don't look too good, buddy. You won't be needing this money. Well, what are you going to do with him now?
I don't know. I think we should probably... Is there no other paper or anything inside his pockets? You have no information about him or that?
You start kind of feeling around. You do find that he's holding a .45 automatic.
Okay. I'm taking that.
Okay. But other than that, you don't find anything else.
Let's pull him up to the bushes so he's not like laying on the middle of the sidewalk.
Okay.
Let him sleep that off.
All right. Mason, you start getting towards the house. And when you get within eyeshot of the house, you can see Jason Taft just like running up the street. Running towards the front door of the hotel.
Okay, so we parted in the alley, and he must have made good time to get here ahead of me, although I was trying to be sneaky. Does he look? What is his affect? Is he just running in the darkness? Does he look afraid? Does he look urgent?
He looks urgent. He's running towards the front door of the hotel.
And the ground floor, is it pretty, are the windows, generous? Or am I going to have to really follow him in to hear or see anything? Or can I stay on the, say, porch and, watch at least where he goes right away?
You can watch. I mean, you're hidden enough that he won't see you. He seems very.
Porch and it's probably fairly dark, so I'm gonna loiter behind. I'm gonna come up to the porch behind him and see where he goes.
Okay, so you see him hit the front of the stairs. Peter, right before this all happens, give me a spot hidden roll.
Okay. I passed with 10. So that's,
you notice on the pouch or the sack that he threw on the table that you see some spots of dried blood on there as well.
Okay.
And as soon as you see that, the front door of the house bursts open, and Jason runs in, just kind of out of breath in the hallway. Odie, you can see this. Oscar, you can see this as well from your vantage. Mason, you see him run in, and you kind of maneuver around so that you can see where the front door is, or in the windows. And he goes, "You need to come, Marcus. He was and he's just completely out of breath. He was attacked. You need to come now." And as he says that, Rebecca, her eyes get really wide. The other, large gentleman looks over to Denby, and Denby is just staring directly at Peter.
Now I'm descending the stairs with my suit jacket over my hand, a bottle of whiskey in the other, but my pistols over my jacket's over my 32. And I start descending the stairs like that. What's the commotion going on here, guys? What? Can a man drink in peace? What the fuck is the problem?
And as you say that, all of them look at you, just kind of surprised that you were there. None of them realized that you were there. And Denby stands up and looks at Odie and looks at Peter and says, I wonder if you gentlemen should come with us. Somehow I have a feeling this has something to do with you.
Now I pulled the pistol out. I said, put your weapons on the table first. Don't make any stupid moves. I got an itchy trigger. Put your fucking pistols on the table. Walk out on the porch, and we will follow you. Do it now. 3, 2, click, and I pull back the hammer. And do I need to get to 1?
And Jason, when you do that, Rebecca and Jason Taft, their eyes get really wide, and they're like, "Oh, okay." Denby just kind of smiles at you, and just turns to face you directly. And the other, very large gentleman does the same. And Denby says, "I would ask that you put that down."
Did I stutter? Put your pistol on the table. I'm gonna fire, and I'll literally like you saw.
He holds his arms out. He's not holding a weapon.
Peter, frisk him from behind.
All right.
Peter, sack up, frisk him.
All right, I'll frisk him.
So you.
I'm also gonna.
If they go to, if the person that Peter is frisking goes to make a move on Peter, I'm shooting the other guy right in the knee.
Okay.
I'm grabbing the scroll and rolling it up.
Okay.
I'm on the porch amazed that Daniel knows these kind of people and plays poker with them.
Me too.
Hey, I've been nice this whole time, but you know what?
And I'm still standing outside the window with my gun trained on them.
I can understand Odie because he's my cousin, so he's protective.
All right. So what are the three of yours dexterities?
I'm an 80. 80.
80. Oscar?
55.
I'm an 80.
Okay. So this is what happens. Peter, you reach down and grab the scroll and start rolling it up. As you do that, Denby dives down, dives for cover, and the other the large gentleman he goes and tries to dive at Odie. Odie, you guys have you can go. So go ahead and roll.
01, bang.
1-0.
All right. So between the two of you, Odie, you hit him. The bullet goes, right into his chest. The chest, just explodes out and blood, spatters all over the place. Oscar, you shoot. The window shatters. Peter, you hear the window and the glass shatter, and as just the bullet hits the side of the guy's head, and the side of his head just gets blown out the other side. Peter, give me a sanity check because this happens right in front of you, and I'm guessing an anthropologist doesn't see a lot of this.
Well, I got a 32, so
is that a pass?
That's better than half. Yeah.
All right, so just lose one.
All right.
Rebecca has dove to the ground. Denby has dove to the ground as well.
Can I also add that before that happened, I was getting ready to make a dash for the door.
Okay.
So when the gun actually goes off, I probably make a dash for the door.
Okay. So you make a
scroll.
you grab the scroll, make a dash for the door. Mason, you hear these gunshots go off, and you can kind of see what's happening. What are you doing?
I was wondering whether Odie and I had run into each other like on the porch before he fired, even as we were trying to follow the same action through windows from outside.
Well, he was on the steps to the upstairs. He wasn't on the porch.
Oh,
I
I'm
was
sorry.
inside.
I'm sorry. I mean,
I wasn't on the porch. I was around the side of the house.
Yeah, so Mason,
Okay.
you were in the front of the house. Oscar was in the back.
okay. Right. So when there's gunshots and glass flying,
I'm flying for the front door to bash.
which is toward me.
Right.
Yeah, so you're about to run into Peter.
I think I'm at a window, not a door, but it's still. But I can see that friendlies are in good shape, and I don't have any weapons. Yeah, I'm going to wait for Peter, I guess.
Okay.
Dude, I couldn't overhear that he said something about Marcus.
No.
He was too far inside, I'm sure.
No.
Yeah, I'm just going to wait to talk to Peter because I don't know what's going on.
All right, Peter, which door are you heading for? The front door or the back
front door. Yeah.
So in order to do that, you kind of have to go dive across the table. Go ahead and give me a dexterity roll.
85. Nope.
As you're doing that, you kind of jump over the table, and a hand reaches up and grabs your ankle, and you kind of fall down. The scroll goes rolling off into the corner. Denby had grabbed you as you went through.
Right.
So we'll go around back to the top of the order. Odie and Oscar. Well, what is everybody doing?
So I've shot through, the window smashed.
Yep.
I've got my big coat on and everything, and I've got my big scarf, so I've got the bottom half of my face is covered. So all you can see is like the scar coming down and things. I'm jumping through the window, so I'm like kind of hiking myself through. I'm in the room, and I'm going for the bag that's on the table with the rocks.
Okay, well, give me a dexterity check first.
Okay. 41. I'll spend one luck to make it a hard.
Okay.
And actually, I won't. I'll just do a normal success. Yeah.
All right, so you get in to the front of the table, or you jump through the window. You get in there, grab the bag on the table. As you grab it, you can almost feel like there are stones inside of it. It almost feels like there's 5 or 6 stones inside of it.
Okay.
Odie, what are you doing?
I am training my gun on. I blanked on his name. What's the other guy's name?
Denby.
Denby. And I'm saying, Denby, it was a simple request. You had to you couldn't listen. You don't speak English? And I'm keeping it trained on him, and I'm reaching down and picking up the scroll. And
The scroll is in the opposite side of the room from you, so you're going to have to
Okay.
go across the room.
Well, I'm walking backwards with the gun drawn and still pointing at him. I'm like, it's a simple request. Now your associate is dead. Do you want to join him? And I'm like walking backwards, like leaning this way together. I'm not taking my eyes off of him.
Okay. Peter, what are you doing?
Well, now that I'm flat on my face, and somebody's got a hold of my ankle, I roll over and I pull out my Beretta 9mm and point it at whoever's holding onto my ankle.
Yeah.
Let go.
I don't know why, as a private investigator, I'm the least armed person in this community.
Because
But
we didn't expect any of this to happen.
Since you were running toward the front when Denby grabbed you, I think I could see that from the porch.
Right.
And that's my cue to hurry inside and see what
And
I
the
could-
scroll should be right where you are, because I would have fallen face forward and let it go.
And if there's anything like a cut glass vase by the door or something else that I can pick up and wield, I'm going to grab that as I go for the scroll.
Okay. So
Action sequence.
So this is what happens. So Oscar has jumped in. He's grabbed the pouch on the table. Odie, you're backing up, gun trained on Denby. Reaching back for the scroll. Peter, you're standing up and you're trying to do the same. Correct?
I'm actually laying on my back now because he's got a hold of my ankle.
Okay. And then Mason, by this point, you're able to get into the room. As all of this is happening, Denby just kind of lets go of your ankle, Peter. You can see with one hand he had your ankle. With the other hand, you can see he's holding something. And before anybody can do anything, you can see in his other hand that this bright light starts to fill the room. And before any of you know it, you are just completely blinded by this, large flash of light. You go blind for you don't know how long. The light has disoriented you. What are you doing?
Back up against the wall.
Okay.
I guess I'm covering my eyes. I was going to shoot, but now that I'm blind, I might hit somebody.
Yeah, I'm arm up and to the floor.
So,
So when I grabbed the rocks, I put them straight into my bag because I don't want to be touching them for too long. So I've thrown them in the bag. When that happened, I guess I'm trying to back up to kind of jump back out, like get myself back out the window.
Okay. So Oscar, give me a dexterity. Actually, Oscar, give me a luck roll.
Give me a luck. Okay. I got a 15, which is a pass.
So you back up. You feel where the window is from where you're feeling around, and you figure out how you can kind of tumble out the back of the window. Everybody else, it takes about 30 seconds or a minute for your eyes just to start coming back, and you still see spots all over the place. But once the light comes and fades away, and you can finally see, you're still in the room. Looking around, you can see that the scroll, Peter, that you had dropped is no longer there, and Denby and Rebecca are also gone.
what about all the stuff that Oscar grabbed?
Oscar still has everything that he had taken. Let's jump back to the other two. Robert, give me a spot hidden roll.
I made it.
Okay. As you and Butch are pulling Marcus's body, or unconscious body, I should say, into the bushes, you kind of pull it back. You turn around, and just as you turn around, you see Butch taking a swing at you. Butch, go ahead and roll. Robert, you can either roll dodge or fight back. You saw it in time.
I succeed. Hard success.
I'm going to fight back.
Okay. Go ahead and roll.
Oh, yes. Hard success. Critical success. I got a 9.
All right. So, Butch, you swing at Robert. Robert is able to parry the blow and just responds with a jab right into your face. Go ahead and roll damage, Robert.
Oh, what is that?
Might die.
A D3 plus a D4.
We're all
He's
of our
lost
own
7
worth.
hit points. He's lost 7 hit points. He could die.
It's 6 points total.
Oh!
Oh, right in the nose.
No, your nose is the other
We're all
direction.
sort of friends.
Yeah, but you go taking a step back, covering your face because all you can see now are spots and blood.
Okay, and at this point, I think I try to snap out of it. And I am like, wait, where are we? That's like, why is there blood all over my shirt? Why am I holding a gun? What happened? Where is Priest Cecilia?
Drop the gun.
And then I dropped the gun. And I'm like, wait, Robert, what happened?
You tried to hit me.
What? Why would I try to hit you?
Because you're crazy.
What happened? Last thing I remember was we were talking to priest Cecilia, and that's all I remember.
Yeah. Just keep your distance, boy. I swear I'm going to have to teach somebody a lesson. Young whippersnappers. I don't know how old you are, actually.
Well, with that, what are you two going to do?
You know, I'm thinking Marcus is going to come round sooner or later. Let's not make it easy for him. Let's take his clothes.
Okay, it takes you a couple minutes. You're able to, kind of strip him down.
I mean, he still can get up and walk around, but he's going to be a lot more noticeable if he does, say.
It's the same thing you do to any of us when we get drunk at a card party or poker. It's like, Peter's drunk. Let's strip him and let him walk around. Let's steal his clothes.
All right. After you guys do that, where are you going to go? Actually, we'll say you do that. You kind of strip him off his clothes, and then you both hear gunshots off in the distance towards the hotel room.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah, we better run there. I say that and I start dashing towards the hotel.
I pick up the gun that he dropped and carry it just in case we need it later on.
Okay.
And go after them.
All right, so you two start heading there. The other four of you, your vision has come back. What are you doing now?
I'm like, oh my god. We
So
gotta get
our
out.
vision back, there's a multiply punctured corpse on the floor.
Yeah.
And no sign of the scary people.
No.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I imagine they've just gone upstairs to get all of her stuff, and they're going to realize that it's all missing, and they're going to come back downstairs. We better get the fuck out of here.
Everybody okay?
I'm fine. Did you see where Oscar?
When I fell out the window, I hit the ground and I rolled until I could feel like bushes around me. So I rolled myself into the bushes.
Okay.
So I once I know my sight's back, I kind of look around outside to see if I can see any. Especially, can I still see her window?
Yeah.
Can I see any movement or anything up there?
No, you can't.
Okay, so I get up and come back to the window and climb in. Pretty much just around about the time when you guys are saying, asking where I am.
If I see Oscar, I'm like, no, go to the hideout.
Okay, so instead of climbing in, I go and I just sprint off.
We got to go too. Get the hell out of here.
Okay.
These people are as batshit crazy as the rest of them.
And as soon as you guys leave the front of the hotel, Robert and Butch, this is when you guys come up and you see the rest of them kind of running out.
Go.
They're running to go back the other direction.
Why is Butch's face bleeding?
I'd like to grab the firearm from the corpse before we leave.
Okay.
Because I'm feeling really underarmed around here.
What was the gunfight all about?
We'll tell you when we get back.
I'll tell you, Rebecca is not only in on it with her ex-husband, but also a group of thugs.
I knew it. I
Her
told you
assistant-
there was something fishy with that woman.
Yeah,
Well,
this is a big, ugly cabal of maniacs.
They've got their own rocks, and they're worshiping them and thinking that God's talking to them. They're fucking crazy.
They don't got shit.
Peter, I'm really sorry you had to see that, but that guy's batshit crazy, and his thug was even worse. I know how to read the cards, and we weren't walking out of that situation.
It's cool. You just caught me off guard. I was ready to run for the door. They would have probably caught me and beat the shit out of me.
That's what they thought they were going to do.
So we're doing this because we're running through the darkness. Heading
Yeah,
towards.
so you get to about where your little hideout in the woods where you had settled down before. I'm sure you had left some things there from so you're able to find it.
Yeah.
And it looks quiet there, right? Because we're going to approach our little camping area pretty stealthily, but things seem cool.
It does. And you realize that by the time you get there how exhausted you all are.
Right.
You spent the whole day doing stuff.
What watch time is it?
It is about sometime between midnight and 1 a.m. by this point.
And do our watches still match?
For the most part, yeah.
Right. Within
So
reason.
what did you come away with, Oscar?
So I just start pulling all the paper and stuff out of the bag. I don't pull out the rocks because as soon as I see Butch, I'm like, nah.
She said something about 3 other scrolls. Did you find scrolls?
He found 4 other scrolls.
4 other scrolls.
He pulls
so
out.
I'll just put everything in front of you, Peter. I'm just like,
Well, it's going to be really hard to look at them by campfire light, but I got flashlight. I just want to see if they're all similar. I still can't read them.
some these are translated.
Yeah, I mean, they're translated just like the other one was, where there's notes and stuff in the margins, but they definitely the other 4 all look very similar. Actually, I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that one. There's actually 5 scrolls, not 4.
Okay.
But they're all very similar to the ones that to the one that you previously had, where they've got notations in the sides where you can probably go through them all and make out what they all mean based off of the notes that are in there. But it's going to take you a while to do so.
One of them should be a copy of the one that I had. Is that correct?
You find one. Give me an idea roll.
Okay. 25. Yeah, that passes.
Okay, so you looked at the other one enough that you find the one out of the 5 that is very similar to it. However, you notice that there are just very slight variations to this one where things are missing. It's not as long as the other one did, and you kind of get the feeling that this is actually a forgery.
Yeah, we had the real one, and she had the bad one. Now she has the real one. Look, I don't believe in any kind of magic, but there's something freaky going on here. These seem to be the key. So I have a half of mine to just toss them on the campfire, just to keep them away from those fanatic bananas. But I don't see that they cause any harm. I think that they're just another aspect of their freaky religious obsession with those stones.
Yeah, I don't want you to hurt them or damage them because, the antidote might be in one of them.
Yeah, this looks like here it's a forgery, but...
What about the other ones? Are they going to need those from us?
We don't know if they need any of them. I think this is all just their crazy religion. They're as batshit crazy as the rest of them.
So the stone worked at night, even though it didn't have solar power.
Well, we've seen it work at night 3 times already.
With Susan, and what was the other?
Cecilia used hers too, didn't she?
Oh, Celia did, yeah.
Yeah. So,
but in a very local way. Like, I think we would have all been dust on the floor if it had been sunlight.
I think there comes some kind of batteries that are storing up the energy.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't think you should destroy those things at all, although we have to keep them away from these nuts.
I won't destroy them, but we should hide them somewhere here where they can't find them.
And I assume that in the course of this small campfire conversation, you're going to tell us that Denby clearly wants to be the conduit between a god and all humanity.
Once again, yes. Total banana stuff. Yeah, we pretty much confer on everything that happened.
All right. So we know that they had as thugs, they had Marcus, who you guys beat the shit out of. Another unnamed fellow that you guys shot to death.
I think he was just a bodyguard.
Right. And so it's just now Denby and Rebecca, as far
Those
as
are
we know.
nice boots that you got there.
And that other guy,
Oh, and Jason. Yeah.
and Jason.
We should probably spend a little bit of time putting Butch's face back in order.
Yeah, you
Oh,
make
yeah.
a mess. You clean it up.
He must have a major wound by now.
Yeah.
It's got one big bump here and one other big.
We need to figure out how the hell to get the hell out of here.
Right, and you saw the cars.
He's lost 13 hit
We
points.
might have to. I don't know how much food we stole from the back of the diner, but we might have to hike over the mountains to get out of here.
Odie,
Yeah,
Or steal a
needs
car.
to-
Hey, Oscar, can you steal cars?
Odie, yeah. How about you,
Yeah.
Odie?
What about me?
hey,
You can
he has a
hotwire
large
cars.
indention in this
Oh.
area here.
And a massive lump on the
Little
back of his head.
Yeah, because I don't think we're going to be taking our own cars out. I think
My-
we're
my-
taking somebody else's car.
My guess is that half those people didn't bother to lock their car or even take their car keys out.
That's what I was going to say. In the sun visor, there's probably one of these cars have to have it.
Some of these cars have cranks on the front,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But we got to get through a blizzard once we're out of this insane summer valley.
What about the school bus? The bus they brought all the kids in at the church.
It's probably surrounded by cars too.
And
The
besides,
population of the town gets bigger every day.
do you want to be driving a bus in the blizzard up there?
It's going to be a blizzard when we get over the hill.
If we're lucky.
It's better than driving a Model A.
So before we retire desperately, first of all, do we want to have a watch overnight?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, I don't know if anybody's going to stay awake for that, but
Yeah, we can try to flip a coin, even if it's a half an hour shift. It's probably safer.
I could take a watch. No worries. I stay up all night playing cards anyway.
And we got no liquor.
Oh, we have liquor.
You got liquor?
Yeah.
Watch got better.
So who is taking the first shift?
I'll take first. What is it? 2-hour shifts?
Whatever you guys think we can do. I
I'll
don't know
take
how long night is.
I'm gonna sit out any shift and I'm just gonna sleep it off.
Yeah, you need to rest.
Yeah.
I'll take the first shift, but I'm also going to do what I can to see if I can figure out anything on these scrolls. Maybe the
Yeah.
gist stuff.
Can we do two at a time so we can, have a 360? So if Odie and Peter want to do first shift, I'll do second shift. I think
I'll do second shift. Yeah.
Okay, we'll do it together, and that way Butch can catch a little sleep and heal his damaged parts.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. So
If Robert and Butch can do third shift and not beat each other up, is that a deal?
Yeah.
Well,
No guarantees. No, let Butch get his rest. He's hurting. I'll do a
Yeah, I
second
think I'm
shift.
gonna sleep it off.
Wake me up for a second shift. Staying up all night's nothing to me.
We'll wake you up.
okay, so who's doing the first shift?
Me and Odie.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I'll take third shift again too.
Okay.
Well, there's 6 of us, so there's two, and 2.
All right.
Well,
So
I was gonna let Butch sleep and take his shift because he's all busted up.
Oh,
Yeah.
No, that's up to you. We need you too, so you need
Yeah.
at least 4 hours of sleep.
And the damage to Butch, he's not going to get better by sleeping. So
Okay.
And I think
he's
when
got
the
a broken
morning-
nose.
I think when the morning comes, we need to just hotwire a car. Get the fuck out of here.
I really want to retrieve Daniel, if not Susan, but I
Mm.
think it's going to happen if it happens on our way
Peter.
out, because we're
I think-
going to die here if we stay.
Yeah.
The people who are in charge of whatever crazy thing is happening here know who we are now. So yeah,
They're in-
I would like very much to try to find at least Daniel, if not Susan, on our way out.
well,
But we have to leave before dusk.
Yeah.
If the sun doesn't touch the mountains before dusk.
Hey Peter,
Thing you asked him about? You asked Denby about a thing.
I asked him about a name that's on this scroll. This name here. Azathoth.
And is that like a fire demon?
I don't
What is
know.
that?
I don't know if it's a Greek word here. As I was speculating that in the Greek word for the Egyptian god of knowledge is Thoth, and I'm thinking that this is the opposite, the lack of knowledge. But I don't know enough about it. I've never heard of this as a Thoth.
It gives me a bad feeling. Just the word gives me a bad feeling.
I'm sure there's probably some reference to it at Miskatonic. They have an extensive library.
If we make it back to Arkham.
But yeah, it gives me a strange feeling too. It's an ugly sounding word. The strange combination here too of Greek and Semitic, Sumerian, I think. Very strange combination. And it's ancient Greek. It's not modern Greek, or this is old. And these, can I tell if these are also copies of an original? Like the other one was sort of a copy of a...
From what you can tell, the other ones all appear to be original. And the one that's a copy, it's very, very good. The only way that you can tell that it's different is because it's missing stuff that was in the other one that you saw.
Okay. Now, I could be getting stories mixed up because I played for a week, but did you not say that the scroll I had looked like it was maybe 500 or 600 years old, but the text on it's actually much, much older?
Yes. The scrolls, they all look like they're physically maybe 500 to 700 years old, but the language on them and even the way that it's written are much, much older than that.
So my assumption was that these were copies that were made 700 years ago of something even older.
Potentially.
Okay. All right. That's what I was thinking.
So with that, you're those who aren't taking the first shift, you're starting to fall asleep if you haven't fallen asleep already. Like I said, you had a very long day. It was very stressful and physically tolling. Once
I pretty sure Butch is asleep, I go up to Peter and I just drop the bag of rocks in front of him, and then I go off to bed.
Okay.
What the fuck?
Oh yeah, he grabbed them during the fight.
Wow.
You look at the bag, and it's basically torn to shreds, as if somebody had taken a knife or scissors and was cutting it. And as you hold it, you can feel like there should be like 5 or 6 stones, about egg-shaped sized stones inside of it. But when you reach your hand in it, you don't see anything, or you don't see anything. You don't feel anything.
Yeah, I wasn't going to do any of that.
Well, you can feel. I mean, you try to turn it upside down, and however you're moving it, there's nothing on the inside.
There's nothing in it. Now, are you saying that it feels like there's something, but there is nothing?
Yes.
What the hell? And so the bag is fairly big. I mean,
yeah, about that size.
So I'm opening the top and I'm looking down inside. Nothing's there.
No, I mean, you can even see right through it because it's been torn up so much.
It feels heavy, as if there's rocks here, but there's no rocks here. So I'm like, Odie, look at this. What is this? It feels like the cloth is made out of lead. It's so heavy, but there's nothing here.
It's like they're there, but they're not there at the same time.
Not retrievable. Like we can't get to them, but they are there. Well, they're here now, and they're not in his hands, wherever they are.
And so you kind of look at this for a little bit longer. Odie and Peter, both give me Constitution checks.
Okay.
How I failed.
63. I missed it by 3.
I also failed.
You both are just kind of sitting there. You're talking, trying to stay awake, and eventually you kind of get into that lull where somebody says something, and it takes about a minute or so for somebody else to respond, and before you realize it, you both just kind of nod off.
Oh shit!
So, sorry, I misplaced something. Butch and Oscar, you both first wake up, and you find yourselves not in the middle of a forest, but standing in the middle of a desert. The sun is beating down on you. Looking all around, all you see are just dunes as far as the eye can see, until you both kind of look in the same direction, and looks like over one or two dunes away from you, you see this what looks like a spot of shelter. The only thing that you see along the entire desert around you.
Do I see Oscar as well, or is
Yeah,
he just...
he's standing next to you.
Okay. So does the sun feel hot, or does it feel warm?
It feels extremely hot.
Okay, so it's uncomfortable.
It's easily over 100 degrees. The sun is beating down on the sand. It's reflecting back on you. I mean, you can feel your skin just almost cooking under the sun.
Okay, I run towards the shade.
Okay. Oscar?
I want to. Is there any way I can tell if I'm dreaming or something like that? Like slap myself a bit, or try and wake myself up. Try to get back control over my mind a bit.
Sure. Go ahead and I don't know. Give me a
Power roll.
Yeah, a power roll. That sounds good.
Power roll. Okay. I got a 15. I'm gonna spend some luck to get extreme pass. So 15.
You feel that maybe you are dreaming, but you can't seem to wake yourself up, and everything. If this is a dream, this is one of the most vivid dreams you've ever had.
Okay.
Even as you're standing there, the sun is just beating down upon you, and you feel yourself just start to drain of strength just from standing there.
Okay, I'm gonna slowly walk towards the structure, but I'm being way more cautious. I don't trust anything that's going on.
Okay.
I try to close my eyes and try to see if there's any invisible light source. I want to see if it's the sun or some other objects.
No, it is definitely the sun beating down upon you, and the sun looks just huge in the sky. As you two are slowly making your way towards this piece of shelter, Peter and Robert, you find yourselves walking in the desert next to Butch and Oscar as well. Mm-hmm. It's just one second you were in the forest. You kind of dozed off, and the next second you find yourselves walking next to them. Just like I described, the sun is beating down upon you. You find yourselves walking towards this object in the middle of this unknown desert. As you start to get a little bit closer, you can see that the object that you're walking towards is not actually like a building or a shelter. It looks like the rotting remains of an ancient ship, half buried in the sand.
Like an ocean-going ship?
Like an ancient ocean-going ship.
Okay. Oh, God, I got to get out of the sun. I don't like the heat. I don't like the sun. So I'm trying to move faster ahead.
Okay. You start getting closer. And by this time, all of you, you don't know how long you've been traveling in the desert, but you find yourselves about 20 feet away from the ship, and it looms over you. The ship, the remains of the ship, and it's really more of a kind of like the skeleton of the ship at this point. It is probably 30 feet above you. The wood of the ship is just rotting. And at this point, Odie and Mason, you find yourselves there as well, kind of standing in front of the ship along with everybody else.
Do I feel rested at all?
No, not really. Not like you had a good sleep. You don't feel tired necessarily.
All right. And I fell asleep in the woods.
Right, but you
And
don't
suddenly I'm
feel
standing in the
energetic
desert.
or rested. Right.
And the skeleton of this ship is wooden.
It is. As you start looking at it, it's about half buried in the sand. It's just more of a wooden skeleton of the ship. I'm trying to. If you've ever seen like pictures of what like the Ark was supposed to look like, that type of ship is kind of what it looks like, except
a long spine, ribs.
Exactly.
Broken deck.
A lot of the deck is missing for the most part, except for a couple pieces of wood. The sides of the boat have rotted away, so you basically just have the skeleton. And as you look at that, inside the skeleton of the ship, you do see a worn a worn stone pedestal, about 3 or 4 feet high, in the middle of the ship, and the sun is clearly shining down onto it. Everybody, give me a spot hidden roll as well.
Okay.
Am I dressed the way I was when I fell asleep?
Yes, you all are dressed the same.
I have the firearm I stole.
I made it.
You reach around for the firearm and you do find it.
I succeed.
I failed my spot hidden. So.
I got a hard.
So those who make it, you notice that coming up over a dune off in the distance, rapidly marching towards the ship, is a line of cloaked figures.
Okay.
Cloaked in dark robes?
Yes, cloaked in robes.
Can I tell from
hooded robes? You have maybe a minute before they'll get to you.
Can I tell from the overall shape of the ship, the ribbing and stuff, what culture this might have come from? Egyptian or
Viking,
Roman?
You
Viking?
can't tell. It just looks very ancient.
Okay.
And the wood is petrified or
no,
decaying?
It's rotting away. It's decaying
even
away.
though it's dry in the desert.
Yes.
No. Wind erosion and
punctured with holes like insects.
Punctured with holes, but more like the sand whipping up and beating
sand
against.
Blasted. Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Huge beams.
Yeah. They're fairly large.
And the vessel. I mean, again, I guess you said it was like the supposed Noah's Ark from Ararat, but it's like it would be 100 feet long, 200 feet long.
It's hard to say. You can't quite, distances for some reason you can't quite wrap your mind around right now.
And are there masts for sails, or is it just flat?
Not that if there were, you see one very large, almost tree-like thickness, kind of sticking out from the sand at one point next to the ship. So that could have been a mast at one point, but there's nothing, there at that point.
I don't think it matters. I think that it's more important about the people coming up on us.
How far away are they?
They are, just over one dune away from you. They're rapidly closing, getting closer and closer to the ship.
We have our weapons, though?
You do have your weapons. There are
how many of them?
Let's see what they want. Maybe
there's a line of at least a dozen of them. There are a couple places that you think that you might be able to hide around the dunes or around the ship.
Well, and getting in shadows seems attractive to me anyway, just because it's so blasted.
Yeah.
But maybe it's a rescue party. Maybe they're coming to save us.
We can find out from the cool place in the shadow.
Yeah.
Okay. So everybody who's gonna hide, give me a stealth roll.
Oh no.
Oh, 0.
Just got
3.
it.
Once again, my big ass feet stick
So
out.
that is just
I made it.
super good.
I failed this time.
I mean, my extreme is 8.
So Mason, you actually, so for those who made it, you're able to find like some wood that you're either able to prop up or a dune that's tall enough that you can either peer over. You feel well enough hidden. Mason, you actually find this little, almost like part of the ship. It was like a little storage area that was buried in the sand and was protected from the wind and the sand. And you're able to kind of open that up and get inside of it. And it's very shady in there, although the cracks in the wood are large enough that you can see everything that's going on.
Great.
The figures rapidly approach the ship, and before you know it, they start walking into the skeleton of the ship and slowly starting to surround the pedestal. As you look at them, you see that they're translucent. You can almost see the skeleton of the ship through them and the dunes on the other side. The figures are hooded, and even though it's bright sunlight out, you can't make out any faces that are underneath the hoods. One of the hooded figures that has surrounded the pedestal produces a leather pouch from which they pull an egg-shaped stone on and places it on the pedestal itself. Peter, you instantly recognize that pouch as the pouch that Oscar had handed you, except it's full. It's not ripped up and torn apart. The group begins to chant. None of you can understand the language that they're chanting, and although you do make out the words Azathoth over and over in some points of the chant, the group then begins to close in on the stone close in on the pedestal as the stone begins to shine brighter and brighter, finally ending in a flash that encompasses everything. Mason, you're sitting in, or you're hiding in that like little storage area, and as it gets brighter, you can imagine that how the brightness of the light is just shining through the cracks in the in the wood to where a point where even though you're in darkness, the entire inside of there is illuminated in this immense flash. When the flash ends, you all find yourself back in the forest. You awaken. It is now daytime. All of you look around at each other as you all seem to have awoken at the same time. Everybody give me sanity checks as you all realize that whatever you are dealing with here in this valley that's going on right now is not something new. Based off of the vision you just saw, you're dealing with something that has been around for millions and millions of years. You get a very large sense of ancient magic that now seems to permeate everything within this valley.
I failed it.
I failed.
If you made it, you only lose 1. If you fail it, lose a D4.
I failed, so.
I failed. I rolled a 1, but I'm also going to take 1 point for when you lost for when I shot that guy also.
Okay, that's fair.
I lost a 1 as well.
So I've gone down to 54.
56.
I've lost an awful lot of sanity.
What is
quite
that
sane.
lot? How far down are you?
I'm down to 29 out of 40.
Ooh.
When you started at 40 at the beginning of this?
Yeah, but that's been spread out over a while.
Okay. We'll say you're pretty. You can feel your sanity starting to slip away. You feel yourself on the edge of a breaking point. I won't say you've hit that point yet, but you're very close.
I'm prepared to also say that I've noticed that Robert and Butch have a dangerous relationship and might need to be monitored. Because Robert's gotten a little erratic, and poor Butch can't take any more hits to the head. That said, we were all just in a strange parallel universe.
Yeah.
Did anyone see anything familiar to you from dreams or from something you read?
It's not the first time I've seen cultists standing around things and chanting.
Cultists.
I'm just literally sitting there with my arms on my knees, and I'm just like staring into blackness. I'm not talking or acknowledging anyone.
And as you're all sitting there, talking about what just happened or what you all saw and trying to come to terms or get an explanation for it, you hear cheers coming from the direction of Pilgrim Park.
Is it daylight?
It is daylight, and looking at your watches, it is about 11:30 in the afternoon.
Late morning.
Yes.
We really overslept.
So if we had gone to sleep at what we thought, when we thought we had, which I would have guessed was, I don't know, 12 or 1:30 at the latest.
1:30, yeah.
Like
Because we basically we followed people until dusk, and then we had some fights, and then we met at the campfire. So we really slept for a long time, but we didn't feel well rested, I'm guessing.
Not particularly well rested. I mean, you feel rested, but not.
Well, we're sleeping on the ground, so.
And our watches say 11:30.
Yes.
And what's the sun look like? Is it near noon?
The sun is just big in the sky, directly overhead. You can feel the heat of the day beating down upon you. It feels even hotter than it was the day before.
You can hear, at the edge of the woods, hiding under pines, the sun is bright and aggressive.
Yes.
Okay. We really need to leave town.
You hear another cheer coming from the direction of the park again, and you can hear what sounds like a voice. It's hard to make out, but it almost sounds like Denby's voice.
Right. Denby, who wants to be the solo voice of the perfect god that we gotta kill, right, gentlemen?
Just got to get the hell out of here.
Yeah, we can't. If he can make this happen here, he can make it happen anywhere. I think we gotta leave this town without.
I have a feeling
stones.
the next couple of days they're all going to be dead of radiation.
Maybe, but more people are coming. How I don't even know how many people find out about this.
I just want to get the hell out of here.
I kind of get the feeling if we kill him, it'll put it into it all. If he's the one who's doing it all.
I don't think he's doing any more than anybody else is. I don't know why you would think that, but
Yeah,
Well, it
for
sounds like
example,
he's the
what
one-
about Susan? She's
how many
having
people have we already killed?
Only
One.
one. Only one. Fewer they have killed since we've come to town. The day
Should we-
before last.
Let's
I haven't killed anybody. Butch is mostly still alive.
let's sneak out of the woods at least and see.
Don't even joke about that stuff.
Let's have a nice cup of coffee in the woods and think about shit.
Well,
Cup of
we can
Joe.
hear the cheering. Let's see what the fuck that is going on.
Mm.
Be careful not to reveal ourselves.
Mason, take a swig of this and let's go see what's up with the voices.
How come you always have booze? Odie? How does it never get over?
Well, I came with 6 bottles and we've drank 3.
It's only been a few days, as far as I can tell.
Oh,
So you
There's
start.
no point yet that we can determine whether our time and public time are different, right?
I was thinking about that. And Peter, remember when we used to go to Grandma's in the summer? She used to cook us eggs with that little thing with the sand in it. If we could get one of those, I don't think, sand, it'll have the same time. Like the timer thing, that egg timer thing.
What does it matter at this point? Let's just.
What does it matter? I'm trying to figure out what's real so I can decide how I'm gonna die. Because as far as I know, I could die here in this valley, or I could die in a desert in a.
Let's go see what the cheering.
Yeah, so you're kind of discussing this as you're making your way towards the edge of the forest, and you get to the edge of the forest and you get a view of Pilgrim Park and where the town hall is. And in the park, which is right in front of town hall, there is just a large amount of people. It looks like almost if not. If everybody in town isn't, crowded into this park, the majority of the people are. Looking around, you can see that on the steps of Town Hall, you see Denby Partridge and Rebecca and Jason Taft standing there, along with Marcus, who looks like nothing happened to him. Marcus and Jason are working a pulley system to kind of pull the glass off of the clock in the apex of the town hall roof down, and Denby is standing there addressing everyone, and he stands there, and you can hear him say, "Tomorrow we will gather here at sunrise to show our true appreciation of the sun. In the meantime, I challenge you to rid yourselves of the false idols and gods. Look inside yourself for the truth. Look to your neighbor to make sure they can see the same truth you see. Do not be deceived." And with that, the entire crowd just erupts into cheers. And that's where we'll end it.
Boy, I hope somebody can pass a hot wire car roll.
Luckily, we know a lot of criminals.
Apparently, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, indeed.
Our players included Jerry Bryant, Vinesh Ramakrishnan, David Gasaway, Thane Fleming, Jason Melnichuk, and myself, with Tyler Hudakis, the keeper of the secrets. We're currently producing up to 4 shows a week with music and sound effects added in post-production in order to create a richer listener experience. We provide audio-only versions of our shows free for you to download from Podbean or iTunes. If you would like to become a patron, visit our Patreon account. Just $1 or $2 a month helps us a lot. You can find a link in our description below. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and punch the bell icon for updates on our latest show and comments. We enjoy reading them and answering any questions you might have. This is Tom Rayleigh, together with all the members of our gaming club, inviting you to journey with us once again into the darkness for another adventure into the universe of H.P. Lovecraft and the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. Until next time, good luck and good gaming.